it is incredibly easy to lose sight of what is truly important. We are constantly chasing external goals, immersed in plans for the future or regrets about the past. Our thoughts wander anywhere but here and now. But what if the deepest truth, the most complete and intense experience of life, and the source of true peace are available to us right now in this very unique moment? This is seeing unlimited greatness. This is a deep, penetrating awareness of the limitless potential, the incredible power and beauty that surrounds us everywhere, in every atom, in every particle of life, in every moment of existence. And, most amazingly and inspiringly, this limitless potential lives within ourselves, in our hearts and minds. It is not only the recognition of our own infinite value, but also a deep awareness of our inseparable connection with all that exists, with the entire universe. It is a gaze that sees not only the outer form, but also the inner essence, not only the fleeting appearance, but also its deep cause, not only the visible, but also the invisible. It is the ability to perceive the world without numerous limitations, without fears, without judgments, with complete trust and openness. It is the highest form of vision that transforms absolutely everything around us, filling every aspect of our lives with meaning, wonder, and deep gratitude. True life is not revealed in tomorrow's hypothetical achievements, not in distant dreams, and not in yesterday's already past memories, no matter how vivid they may be. It is revealed when we allow ourselves to be fully present, open, and receptive to what is happening right now. In every breath that fills our lungs, in every step that leaves a mark, in every glance that we cast at the world around us, there is an unlimited potential for awakening and deep understanding. This state does not require special conditions, solitude in the mountains, or the achievement of some mystical enlightenment. It is available right in the middle of our everyday life, wherever we are. Mindfulness is not just a trendy term or an esoteric practice, but a natural, innate state of being to which we can return at any moment, simply by shifting the focus of attention. It is the ability to see the world without the numerous filters of our prejudices, fears, and expectations, to accept it as it is, without evaluations and judgments. It is a way of knowing reality in all its fullness and depth. Our inner world is as vast, multifaceted, and mysterious as the endless outer space. It contains not only our deep-seated fears, anxieties, insecurities, and painful memories, but also our inexhaustible sources of wisdom, inner strength, boundless compassion, and genuine creativity. How many times have we avoided looking within ourselves for fear of finding something unpleasant, of confronting our own shadows or unhealed wounds? Yet it is there, in the very silence of our own being, in the depths of our soul, that the most important keys to true freedom, joy, and fulfillment are hidden. Awakening begins with an honest, unvarnished look at ourselves, our smallest thoughts, our most subtle emotions, our ingrained beliefs, and our repetitive patterns of behavior. It is a process of self-discovery that requires great courage and a willingness to transform, but it ultimately rewards us with incredible clarity, depth of understanding, and a sense of inner wholeness. We often, out of habit, look for answers outside ourselves, in numerous self-help books, in the instructions of gurus, in other people's stories of success or failure, in the advice of friends and experts. But the most important, the deepest and most authentic answers are always within us, in our own intuition, in our inner voice. Each of us is not just an individual, but a whole unique universe containing the entire spectrum of human experience, all knowledge and all potential. Accepting yourself, your strengths and your imperfections, your uniqueness and your originality is the very first and most important step to true awakening and healing. When we stop fighting who we really are, stop comparing ourselves to someone else, and begin to explore ourselves with genuine curiosity and kindness, then amazing, previously unexplored horizons of self-knowledge open up. This inner landscape is your personal temple, your sacred space where you can always find peace, inspiration, wisdom, and a sense of unconditional love. How can we integrate this boundless grandeur, this deep understanding, and this awakened state into our everyday, mundane life, full of routine and worries? Start with the simplest, seemingly insignificant things. Notice the taste of your morning tea or coffee. Feel its aroma, the warmth of the cup in your hands. Feel the gentle warmth of the sun on your skin or the invigorating touch of the wind. Hear the many sounds around you, the gentle rustling of leaves, the cheerful singing of birds, the distant noise of the city, the patter of rain on the glass. These simple but profound moments, when we are fully present in them, fill our lives with true meaning, depth, and joy, which we often miss in the rush. Mindfulness is not necessarily hour-long meditations in solitude or withdrawal from the world. It is a much simpler and more accessible practice of being present in each of our actions, be it washing the dishes, a leisurely walk in the park, a deep conversation with loved ones, or simply waiting in line. Every action you take, no matter how simple it may seem, can become an act of awareness, a small step towards a fuller and more fulfilling life. Breathe deeply and consciously, feeling the air fill your body. Feel your body, its boundaries, its sensations. Pay attention to your emotions, allowing them to be without judging them or suppressing them, but simply observing them like clouds in the sky. When you meet other people, try to see them not through the prism of your expectations, stereotypes, or prejudices, but as unique, inimitable beings with their own inner world, their joys and sorrows. This is not always easy because our minds are accustomed to old patterns, but each such small step develops your ability to be more present, more sensitive, more compassionate, and, ultimately, more alive and fulfilled. Allow yourself to make mistakes because even they, if we are conscious of them, can be valuable lessons and stepping stones on the path to growth. Spiritual awakening is not a destination, not a finish line where you can arrive and stop. It is an endless, exciting journey, a process of constant unfolding, deep understanding, continuous learning, and limitless growth. The deeper we dive into ourselves, exploring our inner worlds, the more clearly and distinctly we see our inextricable connection with the whole world around us, with all of humanity, with all of nature. We begin to understand that we are all an integral part of a single, living flow of life, and our every action, even the smallest thought, has an impact on the whole, on the collective consciousness. When we act from a place of awareness, genuine love, compassion, and wisdom, we not only transform ourselves, our inner reality, but also make powerful, positive changes in the world around us, promoting harmony and healing. This deep understanding gives birth to not only inner peace in us, but also boundless compassion for other beings, as well as a sincere desire to serve the common good. We cease to feel isolated, lonely, cut off from others, realizing that all beings like us strive for happiness, for joy, for the absence of suffering. This integrity, this universal oneness, manifests itself in everything, in the perfect harmony of nature, in the unity of humanity, which, despite apparent differences, has common roots, in the universal laws that govern the entire universe. Let this deep connection fill you to the brim, guide you in your every decision, and inspire you to new achievements. Live, realizing that each day is not just a new period of time, but a new, unique opportunity to see the boundless greatness in the simplest things, to manifest it in your actions, and to be an integral part of this greatness. Open your eyes, your heart, and your mind to this incredible reality that is always available. Spiritual awakening is not a sudden epiphany, a bright flash that changes everything in an instant. Rather, it is a gradual, multi-layered process of opening our consciousness, lifting the veil from our eyes that has prevented us from seeing the true nature of reality and our place in it. Often, this journey begins with a quiet but persistent sense that something in our lives does not correspond to a deeper truth. Familiar landmarks, values that once seemed unshakable, and the endless pursuit of external achievement cease to bring true satisfaction or a sense of completeness. An intuitive understanding appears that there is something greater beyond the visible and tangible world. This is seeing unlimited greatness. Often, such an awakening can be catalyzed by a deep crisis, an unexpected loss, a period of intense sadness, or conversely, moments of deep peace and inner insight. What is important is that it is always a shift in consciousness, a transition from a life that seems to be completely controlled by external circumstances, the opinions of others, and the dictates of the ego, to a life guided by inner wisdom, intuition, and a deep sense of purpose. We begin to listen to our inner voice, which has long been drowned out by the noise of the outside world, social expectations, and our own mental construct. This inner voice becomes our most reliable guide, showing the way to true freedom and self-realization. This path is often accompanied by a radical re-evaluation of everything we knew and believed in. Old beliefs that seemed unshakable begin to crumble, opening up space for new truths and deep understandings. We begin to ask fundamental questions about the meaning of life, our true purpose, the nature of existence, and the interconnectedness of everything that exists. And surprisingly, the answers come not from the outside, not from books or the words of other people, but from within ourselves. We become aware of our deep connection to all that exists, feeling part of something much larger than just the individual self. This sense of oneness brings a deep sense of peace and belonging, dissolving feelings of loneliness and isolation. Life as it is becomes our greatest teacher. Every event, every interaction, every emotion is a priceless lesson, a unique opportunity to grow, to know ourselves, and to deepen our understanding of the world. We learn to accept things as they are, without judgment, resistance, or trying to change what is beyond our control. This does not mean passivity or indifference to what is happening. It means being consciously, deeply present in each moment, accepting both joy and pain, both success and failure. For it is in these contrasts, in these encounters with difficulties, that true wisdom is born and our inner, inexhaustible strength is revealed. We begin to see amazing patterns, synchronicities, and signs that previously went unnoticed, realizing that everything in the world is interconnected and has a deep, often hidden meaning. One of the most liberating aspects of spiritual awakening is the release of fear. Fear is a powerful force that binds us, paralyzes our will, prevents us from realizing our true potential and living a full, fulfilling life. It is the fear of the unknown, the fear of judgment, the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of change, even the fear of life itself. When we begin to realize that most of our fears are just mental constructs created by our ego and past experiences, we begin to gain freedom. We understand that the real threat rarely comes from outside. Most often, it lives within us, in our own thoughts and ideas. By freeing ourselves from this grip of fear, we open ourselves to new possibilities, to the risk of being vulnerable, which paradoxically makes us stronger and more resilient. Living in an awakened state is not a life without problems or challenges. On the contrary, it is a life in which problems and challenges are perceived as opportunities for growth, learning, and further expansion of consciousness. We stop seeing ourselves as victims of circumstances and begin to realize our inner power and ability to influence our own reality. It is a transition from a reactive to a proactive existence, where we take responsibility for our inner world and our reactions to the external. An important aspect is the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is not just meditation, it is a way of life, constant presence in the moment, here and now. It is paying attention to your thoughts without being attached to them, observing your emotions without judgment, feeling your body, listening to sounds, perceiving smells. When we are mindful, we stop living on autopilot, mechanically reacting to external stimuli. We begin to live intentionally with full presence, which allows us to experience each moment more deeply and make wiser decisions. This practice helps us to detach ourselves from the stream of endless thoughts and find inner silence, where true wisdom is born. Spiritual awakening also involves developing compassion and empathy. When we begin to see our interconnectedness with all that exists, we naturally feel more compassion for other living beings. We understand that we all experience our own struggles, fears, and joys. This understanding helps us build deeper and more sincere relationships based on love, acceptance, and mutual support. By developing empathy, we learn to put ourselves in another's shoes, which dissolves the boundaries between me and they and leads to a deep sense of the oneness of humanity. The meaning of life ceases to be an abstract concept and becomes a living, ever-evolving experience. We discover that our true meaning lies not in the accumulation of material goods or in the search for external validation, but in service to ourselves, our true self, and service to others. This can manifest itself in many different forms: in creativity, in helping others in need, in spreading knowledge, in creating beauty, in supporting loved ones. When we live from a place of service, our lives are filled with deep joy and satisfaction because we feel that we are part of something greater than our personal interests. The process of awakening is not always easy. It can be painful, as it requires us to face our shadows, our repressed emotions and traumas. But it is through this face-to-face that healing occurs. We learn to forgive ourselves and others, to let go of old hurts and negative beliefs that have held us captive. It is a process of liberation that allows us to shed the heavy weight of the past and move forward with ease and an open heart. It is important to remember that spiritual awakening is a personal journey. No two paths are the same. What works for one person may not work for another. That is why it is so important to trust your intuition, listen to your inner voice, and follow your own unique path. Don't compare yourself to others. Don't strive for ideals imposed from the outside. Your truth is within you. We come to understand that happiness is not a destination, but a way of life. It is not something we acquire by reaching a goal, but something we cultivate in every moment. It is an internal state that does not depend on external circumstances, but stems from our internal choices and attitude towards life. We learn to find joy in small things, to appreciate simple moments, to see beauty in the ordinary. Life as it is not only lessons and challenges, but also an endless miracle. It is an opportunity to experience the full range of human emotions, to explore the depths of your consciousness, to create, to love, and to be loved. It is a chance to leave your mark on the world, to be a light for others, to inspire change. Every day is a new opportunity to start anew, to express your true nature, and to live in accordance with your highest values. Ultimately, spiritual awakening is about returning to your true essence, to your original purity and integrity. It is about realizing that we are not just physical bodies, but infinite spiritual beings who have come here to learn, grow, and share our unique energy with the world. It is about discovering your inner light and allowing it to shine brightly, illuminating the way not only for yourself, but for everyone around you. Breaking free from the shackles of fear and doubt is an ongoing journey of self-discovery and inner strength that begins with acknowledging these invisible chains. Often we are not even aware of how much they bind our actions, thoughts, and aspirations, turning potential opportunities into missed opportunities. These chains whisper to us about possible failures, inability to cope with difficulties, judgments from others, creating an invisible but tangible wall of prejudices and self-limitations around us. This process of overcoming an inner barrier is not an instant action, but rather a long-term, multi-step work on yourself that requires deep awareness, patience, and an unwavering willingness to face your deepest fears and accept them. This is seeing unlimited greatness. The first step on this path is to recognize these chains. Many people live their lives without noticing how fear and doubt dictate their choices, shape their reactions, and determine the limits of their ambitions and potential. They may explain their inaction by external circumstances, lack of resources, or lack of suitable opportunities, while the real root cause very often lies in internal resistance and hidden fears. Recognizing that these feelings control your life is an absolutely critical moment, a kind of breakthrough in consciousness. It is akin to turning on a bright light in a previously pitch-dark room, where until that moment only vague shadows and unclear, frightening outlines reigned. Such an act of recognition allows you to clearly see and identify the mechanisms that hold you captive, and to understand their nature. After the stage of deep awareness, the stage of detailed analysis and self-reflection inevitably follows. It is extremely important to deeply understand where exactly these fears and doubts come from, what their true roots are. Very often they are rooted in the past, in traumatic or simply unpleasant events, such as painful criticism from significant adults in childhood, major failures that left a deep emotional mark, or repeated disappointments, childhood impressions, family attitudes, and unconscious scripts, dominant social norms and cultural stereotypes. All this together forms our individual belief system, many of which, unfortunately, can be deeply limiting and counterproductive. For example, if a person was regularly harshly criticized for the slightest mistakes as a child, he may well grow up with a subconscious, deep-seated fear of making a mistake, which will later paralyze him in situations that require decisiveness, spontaneity, or even just creativity. Or if his immediate environment constantly instilled in him the idea of his inability to do something, this deep doubt can become so ingrained that it becomes a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, preventing him from even trying new things. It is extremely important to always remember that fear, in its basic, primordial form, is not our absolute enemy. On the contrary, at its core, it is a vital instinct for self-preservation, designed to warn us of real dangers and threats to our well-being. The problem and dysfunction arise when this natural and useful instinct becomes excessive and starts to work in situations that in fact do not pose any real threat, being only a figment of our overactive imagination. This happens when our mind, fueled by anxiety, begins to draw in our imagination pictures of all sorts of disasters based not on objective reality, but on irrational, far-fetched fears. The main task in such a situation is not to completely eradicate fear, which is essentially impossible and even harmful, but to learn to effectively manage it, subtly distinguish between reasonable fears and completely fictitious ones, and, most importantly, not to allow it to dominate our decisions and life in general. Practical steps toward true liberation inevitably involve a consistent and methodical confrontation with one's fears. This process can and should begin with the smallest, seemingly insignificant steps, gradually but surely increasing the difficulty of the tasks set before oneself. For example, if a person has a strong fear of public speaking, he or she can begin by practicing in front of a mirror, then move on to speaking in front of one or two of the most trusted friends or family members, then in front of a small but supportive group of like-minded people, and only then, when inner confidence has strengthened, go out to a larger and more demanding audience. Each successful overcoming of even the smallest barrier will steadily strengthen your self-confidence and simultaneously weaken the stranglehold of fear. It is extremely important to celebrate and acknowledge even the smallest victories and steadily record your progress, no matter how slow it may seem. Reframing and actively challenging negative thoughts plays an absolutely key role in this process. Fear and doubt are very often fueled and reinforced by constant negative internal dialogue. We tend to focus exclusively on the worst-case scenarios, exaggerate potential risks, and systematically underestimate our own abilities and resources. Mindfulness practice, regular meditation, and cognitive restructuring technique can be invaluable in this regard. When intrusive negative thoughts arise in your head, you should actively challenge them by asking yourself constructive questions. How realistic is this thought? What objective evidence exists to support this fear? Zrenia, what is the best possible outcome in this situation if I try? Actively replacing negative and limiting beliefs with more positive, realistic, and expanding ones, gradually, step by step, changes our attitude to new challenges and difficulties. Instead of the destructive, I will never succeed, the constructive, I will do everything possible to succeed, and I believe in myself. Instead of the paralyzing, I'm afraid, the courageous, I feel some anxiety, but I am ready to try, no matter what. Your immediate environment also has a significant, sometimes decisive influence on your ability to overcome. The people we interact with on a daily basis can either feed our fears and doubts, multiplying them, or, on the contrary, inspire us, charge us with positive energy, and give us the strength we need to overcome them. It is extremely important to seek out an environment that is supportive, sincerely believes in your potential, and actively encourages you to constantly develop and grow. This does not mean that you should completely avoid contact with people who are prone to negative thinking or pessimism, but it is imperative to be aware of their potential influence and in no case allow their skepticism or disbelief to become part of your own internal attitude. Having mentors, coaches, or simply close friends who have already successfully overcome similar difficulties and obstacles can be an invaluable source of inspiration, practical advice, and moral support on your path. Continuously developing skills and increasing your own competence also significantly contributes to reducing doubts and increasing confidence. The more we know, the deeper our knowledge and the better we can do something, the fewer objective reasons there are for self-doubt. Constant learning, active acquisition of new knowledge, regular practice of practical skills and abilities not only open up new, exciting opportunities for us, but also significantly increase our self-esteem and self-worth. When we feel competent and prepared, doubts naturally recede, giving way to unshakable confidence and determination. An equally important aspect is the acceptance of one's own imperfection and the realization that mistakes are a completely natural and integral part of any process of learning, growth, and development. Fear of possible failure often turns out to be much stronger and more destructive than the failure itself, if it happened. Liberation from shackles includes deep acceptance of the fact that we will inevitably make mistakes, that this is absolutely normal, and that each mistake is, in fact, a valuable lesson and an opportunity for deep analysis and further improvement. Instead of beating yourself up over your mistakes or shortcomings, you should view them as valuable sources of information and opportunities for personal growth. Cultivating self-compassion is a powerful tool in combating the inner critic that constantly feeds our doubts and insecurities. Finally, the key element of the whole process is clear goal setting and continuous systematic movement towards them. When we have a clear and inspiring vision of what we want to achieve in life, it gives deep meaning to all our efforts and undertakings. Even the smallest but consistent steps towards these goals help to effectively break the chains of inaction and procrastination, which are so often generated by fear and doubt. Regular visualization of your success, constant reminder of your cherished dreams and ambitious goals create a powerful, inexhaustible motivational impulse. This allows you to direct the enormous energy that was previously wasted on fruitless worries and anxieties to constructive, creative actions leading to the realization of what you want. Liberation from the shackles of fear and doubt is not a final destination, but rather a continuous process of self-improvement and constant expansion of your own boundaries. This is a journey that gives invaluable experience, deep lessons, and opens doors to new, previously unimaginable opportunities and horizons. It is a path to a life full of meaning, courage, determination, and true freedom, where every challenge, every difficulty is perceived not as a threat, but as a unique chance for deep personal growth and development. It is a journey in which you become not just a passive observer of your own destiny, but also its active, conscious creator. Creativity is not just an activity or a hobby. It is a fundamental aspect of human existence, a deep desire of the soul for self-expression, a way of knowing the world and oneself. It is a process through which we not only create something new in the external world, but also discover our own inner world, realize our hidden possibilities, and realize untapped potential. Every person, regardless of age, profession, or social status, has a unique creative principle, which sometimes lies dormant under a layer of everyday life, fears, and social expectations, but is always ready to awaken and blossom. True creativity begins where the boundaries and prejudices end, where the mind is freed from patterns and the heart begins to speak its own language. This is seeing unlimited greatness. Uncovering this inner potential through creativity is a deeply personal and transformative journey. It allows us to go beyond logical thinking and touch intuitive knowledge to that dimension of being where ideas are born from nothingness and forms acquire meaning. When we immerse ourselves in a creative process, whether it is writing a poem, painting a picture, composing music, creating a new dish, or even just an unconventional solution to an everyday problem, we activate those parts of the brain and soul that usually remain in the shadows. This state of flow, when time ceases to exist and thoughts and actions merge into one, is one of the most powerful and rejuvenating experiences available to a person. In this flow, self-criticism disappears, doubts disappear, and only pure creation remains. However, people often deny themselves the right to be called creative, believing that this is the lot of the chosen one. Artists, musicians, writers. This is one of the most common misconceptions. Creativity is manifested not only in the creation of masterpieces recognized by critics and the public. It lives in every moment when we think outside the box, seek new approaches, express our uniqueness. Creativity is the courage to try new things without fear of making mistakes. It is the willingness to see the world with fresh eyes, to notice beauty in small things, to find inspiration in the ordinary. A chef creating a new recipe, an engineer developing an innovative design, a teacher coming up with an exciting lesson, a parent finding an unconventional approach to raising a child. They all demonstrate creativity in their everyday lives. The essence is not in the product, but in the process, in the energy we put into creating something that reflects our uniqueness. An important aspect of revealing creative potential is overcoming fear. Fear of a blank sheet of paper, fear of making a mistake, fear of being judged, fear of not living up to someone's expectations. All these phobias can paralyze a person, not even letting him start. Society often imposes certain standards and norms on us, and deviating from them can be perceived as a threat. But it is precisely going beyond these standards that allows something truly new and meaningful to be born. Overcoming fear requires courage and self-confidence. This means allowing yourself to be imperfect, recognizing that the process is more important than the result, and understanding that every mistake is just a step on the path to discovery. Allow yourself to create without looking back at other people's opinions, without the desire for immediate recognition, just for the sake of the process itself. In addition to fear, another obstacle to creativity is often perfectionism. The desire for perfection can be paralyzing because nothing we create seems good enough. Perfectionism is a trap that prevents us from finishing what we started, forcing us to endlessly redo and improve, or even put it off for a long time. In fact, it is often in imperfection that true beauty and uniqueness are hidden. Do what you can with what you have, where you are, says the wisdom. This means that you need to start with what is at hand and gradually improve your skills without waiting for the perfect conditions or moment. Small steps, regular practice, and a willingness to learn from your mistakes are the key to developing any creative skill. Creativity is also closely related to self-knowledge. When we create, we bring out parts of our soul, our experiences, our views on the world. This process can be deeply therapeutic, helping us to understand emotions, to survive difficulties, to express what is difficult to say in words. Art therapy, for example, uses this very principle, helping people to heal psychological traumas and develop emotional resilience through creativity. Our creativity becomes a kind of soul diary, reflecting our growth, our changes, our internal conflicts, and their resolution. Through it, we can better understand our true desires, values, and aspirations. In order to reveal your inner potential, it is necessary to create favorable conditions for creativity. This includes not only physical space, but also mental. It is important to set aside time for creativity, even if it is only 15 minutes a day. Regularity is more important than duration. Create your ritual. It can be a cup of coffee before starting work, special music, or a certain place. Eliminate distractions. Give yourself permission to fully immerse yourself in the process. Turn off your phone. Close your browser tabs. Tell your loved ones that you need time for This is an act of respect for your inner world and your creative side. Contrary to popular belief, inspiration does not come by itself in the form of some kind of epiphany. It is often the result of hard work and discipline. The more we practice, the more often we immerse ourselves in the creative process, the more often inspiration comes to us. It is like a muscle that needs to be trained regularly. Reading books, visiting exhibitions, listening to music, walking in nature, communicating with interesting people, all this can become a source of new ideas and stimuli for creativity. Observe the world around you, be open to new impressions, ask questions, look for the unusual in the ordinary. Particular attention should be paid to finding your unique voice. In a world saturated with information and other people's ideas, it is easy to get lost trying to imitate others or follow fashion trends. However, the true power of creativity lies in its authenticity. Your experiences, your thoughts, your feelings, all of this is unique, and this should be the source of your creativity. Don't be afraid to be yourself, even if your style or your ideas are different from the norm. True art always reflects the individuality of its creator. The more you dive into yourself, the deeper you understand your true desires and aspirations, the more authentic and powerful your creativity becomes. And finally, do not forget to share your creativity. Although the process of self-expression is sufficient and valuable in itself, the act of showing your creation to the world, even to a small group of like-minded people, can be a powerful stimulus for further growth. It allows you to receive feedback that can be constructive and inspiring, and also gives you the opportunity to see how your creativity resonates with others. Do not be afraid of criticism. Perceive it as an opportunity for improvement, and not as a personal insult. Everyone who creates risks being misunderstood, but this risk is worth sharing a part of your soul with the world. Creativity is an endless process of discovery, exploration, and growth. This is the path to a more conscious, fulfilling, and happy life. Allow yourself to create, and you will be surprised at the hidden treasures hidden inside you. By revealing your creative potential, You not only enrich your own life, but also make the world around you a little brighter, deeper, and more human. This is your unique contribution to the collective consciousness of humanity, your way to leave a mark and inspire others on their own journey of self-expression. In addition, in the context of creativity as an expression of the soul, its role in the formation and strengthening of personal identity cannot be underestimated. In an era when standardization and unification are trying to level out individuality, creativity becomes a powerful tool for defending one's uniqueness. Through the works we create, be it a text, a melody, a drawing, or even an innovative solution, we declare ourselves to the world, our beliefs, our emotions, our view of reality. This process of self-identification through creativity is especially important for young people who are searching for their place in life, as well as for those who are going through a midlife crisis or other transitional periods. Creativity gives the opportunity to rethink your experience, integrate different aspects of your personality, and reach a new level of self-understanding. It is a kind of dialogue with your inner self that helps you find integrity and harmony. It is also important to emphasize that creativity does not always have to be aimed at creating something material or tangible. There is also intangible creativity, which manifests itself in ways of thinking, in the creation of new ideas, in the ability to improvise, in the ability to approach problems in an unconventional way. These can be new teaching methods, innovative management approaches, unique ways of interacting with people, or even a special manner of conversation that inspires and transforms. Such creativity, although it does not leave behind physical objects, is no less valuable, since it contributes to the development of society, stimulates progress, and improves the quality of human relationships. It proves that creativity is not only the lot of people of art, but also an integral part of the life of any person striving for development and improvement. And finally, creativity has a unique ability to unite people. Art knows no boundaries, neither geographical nor linguistic nor cultural. Music, painting, dance can evoke universal emotions understandable to people from all over the world. Co-creation, whether it's joining a choir, performing a theatre production, creating a mural, or participating in a brainstorming session, strengthens connections between people, building a sense of community and understanding. It teaches us to listen to each other, collaborate, embrace differences, and find harmony in diversity. In this way, creativity not only helps us unlock our inner potential, but also helps us build a more empathetic, connected, and harmonious world. In a world where an endless stream of information and external stimuli constantly compete for our attention, it is becoming increasingly difficult to stop and truly see what is hidden beneath the surface. We live in an age where speed and superficiality are often valued over depth and thoughtfulness. But it is in this race for the obvious that we risk missing the countless manifestations of amazing greatness that unfold around us every second. Without requiring loud announcements or bright flashes, our eyes, accustomed to rapid scanning, automatically filter out what seems ordinary, depriving us of the opportunity to perceive the true magic of the world. This is seeing unlimited greatness. This is not just a play on words, but an invitation to shift the paradigm of perception, to the discovery of new layers of reality that have always been there, but remained invisible to our hurried gaze. Imagine a ray of sunlight penetrating through a dusty window of an old attic, illuminating the particles swarming in the air. What appears to be the chaotic movement of dust is in fact a complex, almost mystical dance, where each particle follows invisible air currents, creating fleeting patterns of light and shadow. Or think of a simple drop of rain that, having fallen on a leaf, does not simply disappear, but lingers, refracting the light and turning into a tiny lens in which the entire world is reflected, albeit in a miniature, distorted form. This is not just water on a leaf. It is an instant work of art created by nature itself, ephemeral but incredibly profound. Our ears, deafened by the constant hum of the city, often miss real symphonies that play out in silence or in the subtle sounds of nature. The barely perceptible rustle of the wind in the leaves, changing tone from a light breeze to an almost ominous sigh. The quiet, insistent buzz of a bumblebee flying from flower to flower, fulfilling its vital mission. or the calming, monotonous rhythm of raindrops falling on different surfaces, on soft earth, on rough leaves, on the ringing metal of a roof, creating a complex, changing melody. All these sounds are not just background noise. Each of them, in every rustle, in every sigh, contains an entire, living universe that exists in parallel with our noisy, demanding world. It does not shout about its existence, but only gently invites contemplation to slow down and listen to its subtle, barely perceptible rhythms. It is in this ability to capture invisible and inaudible manifestations that the depth of perception lies, opening access to true harmony. Let's delve into the microworld that is seething with life right under our noses, remaining completely invisible to the naked eye. Take an ordinary drop of water from a pond. Under a powerful microscope, it turns into a bustling metropolis inhabited by countless microorganisms. Each of them moves with amazing grace, performs its own unique function, fitting into a complex and perfectly balanced ecosystem, demonstrating the perfection and complexity of life forms that are worthy of the deepest admiration and study. Or imagine an old tree whose bark is covered with layers of moss and lichen. If you look closely, every groove, every crack, every unevenness of the surface becomes a unique pattern, telling the story of decades, perhaps centuries of life, growth, and transformation. This is not just a piece of wood, it is a living, breathing archive of time, a testimony to incredible resilience and constant change. Even in the most seemingly ordinary objects and phenomena, you can find something amazing if only you change your approach and abandon superficial judgment, from the desire to see only the obvious. Think of a fingerprint, a unique, one-of-a-kind pattern that is an intricate, exquisite work of art created by nature, or the delicate, almost invisible interweaving of veins on a simple leaf through which life force flows, delivering nutrients and enabling growth like the complex transportation system of a vast city. These details, which we so often ignore as we rush past, contain not only aesthetic beauty, but also profound clues to the bigger picture, to the understanding of the interconnectedness of all things, from the smallest bacterium to the vast galaxy. They remind us that complexity and perfection can be hidden in the simplest forms. The essence of invisible majesty. The essence of invisible majesty is not to seek out the extraordinary, the out of the ordinary, the shocking, but to discover the extraordinary, the profound, the meaningful in the ordinary. The things that have always been there but that have gone unnoticed by our superficial gaze. It is not simply a change in perspective, it is a fundamental shift in our perception that allows us to see the wonder in every moment, every object, every interaction. It means we begin to appreciate the silence between sounds, the emptiness between forms, and how they interact to create something greater. When we learn to appreciate these subtle, barely noticeable aspects, the world around us is transformed. It becomes filled not only with new meaning and undeniable beauty, but also with a surprising, inexhaustible complexity that was previously inaccessible to our cursory glance. Every new day, every minute becomes an opportunity for a new discovery, for a new look at what seemed long familiar and habitual to the point of boredom. The continuous process of discovery and the philosophy of perception. This is a continuous process of wonder and awe that enriches our inner life, expands our consciousness, and deepens our understanding not only of the external world, but also of ourselves, our role in this endless canvas of existence. Invisible greatness does not require exhausting journeys to distant exotic countries, does not require searching for something extraordinary or ephemeral. It requires only an open heart, an inquisitive mind, and an attentive gaze ready to see depth in the superficial, complexity in apparent simplicity, and a miracle in every, even the most ordinary moment of everyday life. This is the ability to find the unique in the universal, the infinite in the finite. It is in this amazing ability to find greatness in the smallest details, in the unnoticeable manifestations, that the true, inexhaustible magic of our existence lies, the source of endless inspiration and deep satisfaction. It is a call to a more conscious existence, to not just look, but to see, not just listen, but to hear, not just touch, but to feel. It is an invitation to meditative immersion in reality, to discover the hidden connections and patterns that shape our reality. For example, just as sunlight passing through a prism breaks up into a spectrum of colors, so invisible greatness reveals to us many facets of the same reality. If we are ready to look at it from different angles, we begin to notice how an old building, crumbling under the influence of time, still holds the stories of past generations. Its walls breathe memory, and in every chip of plaster, you can see a trace of someone's life. Or how the sound of rain falling on different surfaces on the ground, on leaves, on a metal roof, creates a complex polyphony, unique for each moment, constantly changing and full of nuances. This is not just an aesthetic pleasure, but also a deep philosophical approach to life. It teaches us humility before the vastness and complexity of the world, as well as the ability to find joy and meaning in the smallest manifestations. It is the realization that each element, be it a tiny insect, the smallest atom, or a vast galaxy, is an integral part of one large interconnected whole, and that each of them contains an echo of the same infinite grandeur that permeates the entire universe. It is the understanding that even in apparent chaos there is always a hidden order, and in every destruction there is the potential for new creation and rebirth. In this way, invisible greatness becomes not just a concept, but a way of life, a way of perceiving that opens up endless possibilities for growth, learning, and deep self-knowledge. It is a constant reminder that the world is much deeper than it seems at first glance, and that the most amazing things often await us where we least expect to find them, in silence, in simplicity, in every moment of being. This is a call to mindfulness, to become true explorers of the everyday. Imagine watching clouds slowly change shape, creating constantly moving works of art in the sky, or a simple spider weaving its web, demonstrating an engineering marvel that surpasses many human inventions in strength and efficiency. Every movement, every thread is an act of amazing skill, often unnoticed. Just like a stranger's smile on a crowded bus, which can become a source of unexpected joy and warmth, or the sight of an old tree with roots deep in the ground, symbolizing a connection with the past and resilience in the face of time. This approach transforms our attitude to routine, turning it from a burden into a source of endless discoveries. A line at the store, a traffic jam on the road, waiting. All this becomes not just wasted time, but an opportunity to observe, to contemplate, to search for those very invisible greatnesses. We learn to see beauty in aging, wisdom in decay, strength in fragility. This teaches us empathy because by noticing subtle details, we begin to better understand the complexity and multifaceted nature of human experience. We realize that every person, every object, every situation carries a unique stamp of greatness, even if it is not immediately apparent. Ultimately, invisible greatness is a path to deep appreciation for life itself, for its endless manifestations, for the opportunity to be part of this amazing and complex world. In a world that often seems focused on personal achievement and material well-being, the idea of serving others may seem archaic or even naive. However, a growing body of scientific evidence and the wisdom of ancient traditions indicate that actively serving and helping others is not just a noble act, but also a powerful path to personal happiness and sustainable well-being. This phenomenon is often referred to as the egoism of altruism, implying that by helping others, we ultimately benefit ourselves greatly. This is not a cynical approach, but a profound understanding of the relationship between our own well-being and the well-being of the world around us. Service enriches our lives, fills them with meaning, and allows us to experience deep, lasting joy. This is seeing unlimited greatness. Many of us grew up believing that happiness comes from satisfying our own desires and needs. However, this approach often leads to an endless pursuit of new acquisitions or experiences that bring only fleeting satisfaction. Ultimately, this path can leave you feeling empty and isolated. In contrast, an act of service breaks the cycle of self-centeredness. When we focus on the needs of others, our brains switch from internal experiences to external actions. This activates the pleasure and reward centers, releasing neurotransmitters such as oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin, which are associated with feelings of happiness, trust, and attachment. So the benefits of service are not metaphorical, they have a real, measurable neurobiological basis. How service affects our well-being. The impact of service on mental and physical health, as well as overall quality of life, is multifaceted: reduced stress and improved mood. Acts of kindness and helping others significantly reduce levels of the stress hormone cortisol. Instead, they promote the production of endorphins, which produce a feeling of euphoria known as a helper's high. Regular service helps to cope with depression and anxiety by creating a positive emotional background, strengthening social connections. Service often involves interacting with others, whether they are volunteers, beneficiaries, or colleagues, in a common cause. This creates new social connections, strengthens existing relationships, and combats feelings of loneliness. The feeling of belonging to a community united by a common goal is a powerful factor in psychological well-being, increasing self-esteem and a sense of meaning. When we see how our efforts benefit others, it increases our sense of self-worth and competence. Service gives life deep meaning, especially in times of crisis or loss. The feeling that you can make a difference, even with small actions, is a powerful source of inner strength and satisfaction. Developing empathy and gratitude. By focusing on the needs of others, we develop the ability to empathize and understand other people's experiences. This makes us more sensitive and compassionate. In addition, seeing the struggles of others makes us appreciate what we have more, which helps us develop a sense of gratitude. Gratitude, in turn, is one of the key components of happiness. Improved physical health. Research shows that people who regularly volunteer or help others live longer and suffer less from chronic diseases, such as hypertension and heart disease. This may be due to both a direct reduction in stress and a more active lifestyle, which often accompanies service. Practical forms of service. Service does not have to be something grandiose or require a huge amount of effort. You can start small by integrating the principles of helping others into your daily life. Volunteer. Devote a few hours a week or month to a cause you care about. This could be helping at an animal shelter, working in a hospital, participating in environmental projects, helping the elderly or children. Small acts of kindness. Smile at a stranger, hold the door, give up your seat, offer to help your neighbor, give a compliment. These small actions don't take much time, but can significantly improve someone's day and your own mood. Mentoring and knowledge sharing. If you have experience or knowledge in a particular area, share it. Help a younger colleague, mentor a student, or simply give advice to someone who needs it. Charity? If you don't have time to volunteer, you can donate money or items to charity. Even a small amount or unnecessary items can make a big difference. Supporting loved ones. Actively listen to your friends and family, offer to help them when needed, be there for them during difficult times. Sometimes just being present and paying attention can help a lot. Environmental service. Caring for the planet is also a form of service. Participate in cleanups, conserve resources, reduce consumption, advocate for environmental initiatives. Altruistic selfishness, a deeper understanding. The concept of altruistic selfishness does not imply that we help others solely for our own benefit. Rather, it points out that human nature is such that it is in our own interests, both evolutionary and psychological, to cooperate and help each other. These are not mutually exclusive concepts, but complementary. When we act out of a sincere desire to help without expecting anything in return, we often receive much more, a sense of joy, gratitude, connection, and meaning. This side effect of service does not make it less valuable to others, but makes it even more attractive and sustainable for ourselves. Service is not only a way to change the world for the better, but also a powerful tool for the transformation of our own soul. It is a path to a deeper understanding of yourself, your place in the world, and the true meaning of happiness. In a world that is constantly looking for new sources of satisfaction, service remains one of the most tried and true paths to sustainable, authentic well-being. Overcoming barriers to service. Despite the obvious benefits, people sometimes face barriers that prevent them from actively participating in service. One such barrier is a lack of time. In today's fast-paced life, it seems that there is no free minute for yourself, let alone for others. However, as mentioned, even small, everyday acts of kindness are already a form of service. Scheduling, volunteering as an integral part of your schedule, rather than as an additional burden, can help overcome this obstacle. Another barrier may be a feeling of incompetence or a sense that your contribution will be too small. It is important to remember that every action counts. Even the smallest help, given sincerely, can have a huge impact on someone else's life. Start with what you can handle and gradually expand your capabilities. Often, organizations that need help offer training and support for volunteers, so you won't be alone. Sometimes people experience emotional burnout, especially if they are constantly working with someone else's pain or problems. In these cases, it is very important to pay attention to self-care. Service should not drain you, it should fill you up. Set reasonable boundaries, delegate tasks when possible, and be sure to set aside time for your own rest and recovery. Remember that you cannot effectively help others if you yourself are on the verge of burnout. Self-care is not selfish, but necessary for long-term and sustainable service. Finally, cynicism or a lack of confidence in the effectiveness of your actions can also be an obstacle. In a world full of problems, it is easy to feel powerless. However, service is not an attempt to solve all the world's problems alone. It is a way to make a difference. Focus on what you can change and celebrate these small victories. Drop by drop, an ocean is built. Ultimately, incorporating service into our lives is not only a path to personal prosperity, but also a key element in building a more compassionate and sustainable society. It is an investment in collective well-being that pays off handsomely for everyone who chooses to embark on this path. Life is full of unexpected twists, challenges, and adversity. From small, everyday setbacks to major crises, everyone faces adversity. However, how we respond to these challenges determines our ability to not only survive, but to thrive. This is where the concept of resilience comes into play. It is not an innate quality that only a select few possess, but a skill that can and should be developed. Resilience is the ability to adapt to stress and adversity, to bounce back from setbacks and to emerge stronger and wiser. It is not the absence of problems, but the availability of resources and strategies to overcome them. This is seeing unlimited greatness. The world around us is constantly changing, and in such uncertain times, it is especially important to have inner support. Traditionally, we have been taught to avoid difficulties or to consider them a sign of weakness. However, modern psychology shows that it is through overcoming obstacles that we grow and develop. People with high resilience are not necessarily fearless or invulnerable. They simply have the tools to respond effectively to pain and disappointment. They view failure as a learning opportunity, not a final judgment. Developing resilience is an investment in our future, allowing us to remain balanced and optimistic even in the most challenging circumstances. Components of inner resilience. Resilience is made up of several interrelated components that can be actively developed: self-awareness and emotional regulation. The first step to resilience is understanding your own emotions and reactions to stress. This includes the ability to recognize how you feel and the ability to manage those emotions effectively. Rather than suppressing or ignoring negative feelings, resilient people allow themselves to experience them without letting them overwhelm them. They use strategies such as mindfulness, breathing exercises, physical activity, or journaling to process and regulate emotions, positive thinking, and optimism. Resilience does not mean ignoring reality, but includes the ability to see opportunities even in difficult situations. This is not naive optimism, but a realistic view that involves believing in your own strength and ability to change the situation for the better. Focusing on what you can control and accepting what is beyond your control helps you maintain a positive outlook, self-efficacy, and self-confidence. Believing in your ability to cope with challenges is a key element of resilience. This feeling comes from successfully overcoming difficulties in the past. Each time you successfully cope with a problem, your confidence grows, creating a kind of bank of successful strategies that you can turn to in the future. Social support and connections. Humans are social creatures, and strong supportive relationships play a critical role in resilience. Having family, friends, or a community to turn to for help, advice, or just emotional support significantly reduces the impact of stress. Openness to requests for help and the ability to set healthy boundaries in relationships are also important. adaptability, and flexibility. The ability to quickly adapt to changing circumstances and be flexible in thinking and behavior is a hallmark of resilient people. They don't cling to old methods if they don't work and are willing to try new approaches. This includes letting go of what doesn't serve you and being open to new possibilities. Strategies for building resilience. You can develop inner resilience through intentional practices and mindset shifts. Mindfulness practice. Learn to be present in the present moment, noticing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. This helps reduce anxiety and improve emotional regulation. Meditation, yoga, or simply paying attention to the world around you can be helpful. Develop problem-solving skills. Instead of avoiding problems, learn to approach them systematically. Break a big problem down into small, manageable steps and develop an action plan. Each successful step builds your confidence. Cultivate gratitude. Regularly notice what you are grateful for, even during difficult times. This helps shift your focus from the negative to the positive and improves overall well-being. Taking care of your physical health, getting enough sleep, eating a balanced diet, and exercising regularly are the foundation for mental health and resilience. A healthy body is a strong foundation for a resilient mind. Finding meaning and purpose. Having a clear purpose or meaning in life helps you get through difficult times because you see them as part of a greater journey. This could be related to personal values, work, hobbies, or helping others. Learn and practice coping strategy. Identify your personal coping mechanism. These may include talking to loved ones, reading, hobbies, humor, music, or creativity. Actively use these strategies when you face challenges. Build a support network. Actively develop and maintain relationships with people who inspire you, support you, and are willing to listen. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Embrace and learn from mistakes. View failures not as the end of the world, but as valuable lesson. Analyze what went wrong and how you can do things differently in the future. This helps you avoid repeating mistakes and promotes growth. Cultivating inner resilience is an ongoing process, not a one-time event. It is a journey in which every challenge becomes an opportunity to grow and strengthen. The more we practice these strategies, the more resilient we become, allowing us not only to cope with adversity, but to truly thrive in life. Resilience and post-traumatic growth. An important aspect of resilience is its connection to the phenomenon of post-traumatic growth. While PTSD is a negative consequence of trauma, post-traumatic growth is the positive psychological changes that occur as a result of coping with significant life crises. People who have experienced traumas such as loss of loved ones, serious illnesses, or disasters often report changes such as increased appreciation for life. After a crisis, many people begin to appreciate each day more and the little things that previously seemed insignificant. Strengthening relationships. Going through difficult times with loved ones can greatly strengthen emotional bonds and show who is your true support system, opening up to new opportunities. Traumatic events can change life paths, opening doors to new careers, hobbies, or social connections that might not have been considered otherwise. Change in self-image. People may realize an inner strength they never knew they had, leading to increased self-esteem and confidence. Spiritual development. Crises often force people to reflect on the meaning of life, death, and values, which can lead to profound spiritual insights and a change in worldview. Resilience is a prerequisite for post-traumatic growth. It allows a person to go through trauma without breaking down and create the conditions for subsequent growth. This does not mean that trauma is desirable, but it highlights the amazing ability of the human spirit to find meaning and strength even in the darkest moment. Resilience in the modern world. In a rapidly changing and often unpredictable world, developing resilience is becoming not just a personal choice, but a necessary skill for survival and prosperity. Global crises, economic fluctuations, rapid technological progress that requires constant adaptation. All this creates an increased need for the ability to cope with uncertainty. The importance of resilience training is increasingly recognized in schools and workplaces. Programs to develop emotional intelligence, stress management, and positive psychology are becoming an integral part of education and corporate training. The goal is not only to help people cope with adversity, but also to help them see it as an opportunity to grow, be more adaptive to change, and maintain their mental health in any situation. Finally, it is important to remember that resilience is not a static state, but a dynamic process. We do not become resilient once and for all. It is an ongoing practice that requires attention and effort. But the reward, the ability to not just survive, but to live a full, meaningful life despite all its challenges, is truly priceless.
If you'd like to support the channel and help us keep pushing forward, there are links in the description where you can donate. Every contribution helps us reach more people, do more good, and keep this mission alive. There's also a store down below where you can grab something for yourself, or even better, a gift for someone you care about. It's a simple way to spread love and let someone know they matter. We're all just trying to grow, to become better, to rise above the noise and step into who we're really meant to be. And I truly believe change is possible, the kind of change that creates a ripple effect and helps others see the beauty still left in this world. This channel is about real growth, real transformation, and I'm here to give you a front row seat to what that looks like. Raw, honest, and grounded in purpose. God is within all of us, and my goal is simple: to reflect that light as clearly and powerfully as I can, for you and for the world around us.